Drake is being called out right now by Suge Knight because Drake posted a Tupac chain on his Instagram, and you guys know he's a fan.
When Drake copped Tupac's chain, he probably didn't think it would light the whole culture on fire, but Suge Knight just turned up the heat and went off on him. New viral clips show tensions exploding, and it's only getting messier. It all kicked off from one little Instagram flex that snowballed into the wildest beef of 2025.
Drake bought Tupac's crown ring for over $1 million at a New York City auction, but what you might not know is that this was actually Tupac's ring that he was wearing at his last public appearance. But there's actually a cooler backstory to all of this. So, Tupac was actually engaged in 1996 to Kidada Jones, the daughter of Quincy Jones. And if you pay attention to the bottom of the ring where the band is, it reads out Pac and Dada 1996.
On August 24th, Drake dropped a post flaunting a diamond-studded death row pendant right next to Pac's All Eyes on Me cover, where Pac himself wore that same chain. The streets went crazy, convinced Drizzy had snagged Pac's actual piece, with whispers flying that it cost anywhere from a few $100,000 to over $1 million. Thing is, Drake's been on a Pac collecting spree before. Back in 2023, he dropped a clean $1 million at Sotheby's on Pac's crown ring. Fully documented, fully authenticated, no debate. But this chain, no receipts, no seller's name, no paperwork, just one flashy IG post. That silence had the culture second guessing if the chain was even legit or just smoke and mirrors. And the timing, that only stirred the pot more. This comes just a year after Kendrick handed Drake a humiliating loss in their rap war. Now everybody's asking, is this real love for Pac or Drake trying to flex some slick revenge play? Don't forget, he already dragged Pac's name into the feud with that AI tailor-made freestyle stunt, and that blew up in his face big time.
This still feels like the shade of not like us, Kendrick Lamar battle, so I'm gonna buy the chain anyway. I know the West Coast doesn't like me and Tupac's your savior. Guess what? Death row around my neck. You know what I mean? What y'all gonna do?
At the end of the day, this death row chain ain't just jewelry, it's hip-hop history. Messing with it comes with a price, and Suge is making sure the world remembers that. Suge Knight himself designed the death row chain as more than just a pendant. It was a straight-up battle flag. It represented loyalty, rank, and the wild energy that made death row the scariest label of the 90s. That electric chair wasn't only shiny, it was a symbol of the reckless spirit that had West Coast gangster rap running the game. Only a chosen few ever touched a real death row chain, with estimates saying just 5 to 10 were ever made.
And people are just like, why? Why? This belongs in a museum, or this belongs with Pac's family. This doesn't feel right. So there was a lot of conversation about that.
Snoop had one before switching to his dog paw chain, and only a handful of other roast soldiers got theirs. These weren't pieces you could buy off a jeweler. These were sacred badges proving who was truly down with the label. The influence was so strong, schools across the West banned them, treating the pendants like gang signs. Rocking that chain wasn't just about showing off money. It was like signing your name in blood, pledging loyalty to death row's ruthless way of life. Founded in 1991 by Suge Knight, Dr. Dre, and Dick Griffey, the label stamped its mark on the West with the Chronic and Doggy Style. Their street reputation and cutthroat business moves made them untouchable in the game. The chain's design alone was legendary. 14-karat yellow gold, nearly 3 carats of hand-set diamonds, and that chilling electric chair front and center.
It's funny because one of the people that was very had a tweet criticizing it was Rappin' Fote. I know y'all remember Rappin' Fote from the song Players Ball, Players Club.
Yeah.
You feel me? Among many other hits from the Bay Area. He's from Frisco. Also, a lot of that song, Players Club, was interpolated by Drake on that song. That whole verse, you feel me?
Yeah.
Was flipped.
2 to 3 inches across, it was flashy yet intimidating. When someone wore it, the whole room knew what time it was. But Tupac's bond with the chain is what turned it into straight-up history. After Suge bailed Pac out of jail in '95 with $1.4 million, Pac was handed Suge's personal piece. The iced-out pendant immortalized on the All Eyes on Me cover. That one picture locked the chain into the DNA of hip-hop forever. Drake's obsession with Pac memorabilia has always split opinions. When he dropped $1 million on Pac's crown ring in 2023, he got props because it came with receipts and authentication. But when he used Pac's likeness in his rap beefs, West Coast heads side-eyed him hard, claiming they're the true protectors of Pac's name. So when Drake posted that death row chain, the streets lit up instantly. Collectors zoomed in, fans compared every tiny detail to old photos of Pac. Some gave Drake credit for honoring history, but others accused him of trying to buy West Coast stripes he never earned. And the timing couldn't have looked worse. Fresh off that ugly L from Kendrick, the crown holder of the West, every move Drake made tied to Cali looked suspect. To many, his fascination with Pac came off less like love and more like a strategy to stay relevant.
I mean, look, he's got the options. It just, I don't feel like he's let the battle go, so I'm suspect.
Oh no, let me clear that up for you, Shawnee.
Yeah.
He hasn't let the battle go. Let me fix that up for you. It's not over.
So I'm like, you know, is this death row purchase genuine or is it? I mean, I guess it would be hard to tell.
Then came the real heat. OG voices stepping in, rapping Forte, who had already clashed with Drake years back over stolen bars, blasted him publicly, saying Drake had no business owning such a sacred piece of West Coast culture. That call out blew the controversy wide open, with everyone now questioning if the chain was even real. Authenticity questions pop fast. Unlike the crown ring, which was airtight, this death row chain had zero proof behind it. Experts broke it down. Diamond quality, settings, craftsmanship, all looking off compared to originals. Early breakdowns even hinted Drake's chain might be a replica, not one of the holy few from the 90s. Collectors dissected it like detectives, diamond counts, metalwork, weight, but nobody expected what came next. Out of nowhere, Suge Knight himself, locked up on a 28-year bid, dropped into the convo. 2 days after Drake's post, Suge called into the Art of Dialogue podcast from R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility.
When Pac came home, I'm like, I'm gonna make you one. He was like, you my big bro. Let me wear yours. That's more important. So my death row chain at the time was full of diamonds on the chain and full of diamonds on the bezel. Pac came home and got that chain.
And this wasn't just anybody talking. This was the man who rode shotgun with Pac on his last night. His words carrying a weight nobody else in the culture could match. On August 26, 2025, Suge Knight's voice hit YouTube and shook the internet to its core. The interview racked up 1.8 million views in no time, sparking a wildfire across every corner of social media. Suge wasn't just talking, he was testifying, and because he lived death row's golden era, every word felt like gospel. This was the architect of the death row chain speaking, the man who handpicked who was worthy to even touch it. His words carried a weight no historian, no collector, no fan could match. And when Suge dropped his bombshell, it shattered Drake's credibility in the memorabilia game. Suge revealed the twist nobody saw coming. Tupac never actually owned a death row chain. The famous piece immortalized on the All Eyes on Me cover, that wasn't Pac's. It was Suge's personal chain, drenched in ice from the pendant to the Cuban links. For decades, fans believed Pac had his own piece, but Suge rewrote history with one phone call. This wasn't just about calling Drake's chain fake, it was about shaking the entire culture's understanding of Pac's legacy.
I heard people say that it was something wrong on there. What wrong on that chain or the charm? Definitely not the chain, but the charm on the back wasn't nothing.
Behind bars, Suge's tone was a mix of authority and raw emotion. He recalled dropping $1.4 million to bail Pac out in '95, then watching their bond grow into something deeper than business. When Pac called him Big Bro and asked to rock the chain, it wasn't about jewelry, it was about brotherhood. But Suge didn't stop there. He went into details that had collectors stunned. The biggest red flag? An engraving on the back of Drake's chain that read, "All Eyes on You, 1996. Suge swore up and down that no real death row chain ever carried inscriptions like that. According to Suge, death row pieces weren't commercial jewelry. They were exclusive symbols of loyalty and rank. No words, no stamps, just pure gold and diamonds. So when Drake's pendant flashed that inscription, Suge said it screamed reproduction, made to trick collectors with big money, and Suge's message hit blunt as ever. Drake got hustled. Somebody out there finessed him out of major bread, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe even over 1 million. But surprisingly, Suge didn't aim his anger at Drake. Instead, he showed respect for Drake's love of Pac, putting the blame squarely on the shady dealers exploiting hip-hop history, positioning himself as both the guardian of Pac's legacy and an unexpected ally to Drake. Suge urged him to stick with people who honor Pac the right way, not those chasing a quick bag. And Suge wasn't done yet. On August 27th, just one day later, he dialed back in from prison, this time calling the Collect Call podcast.
Now, if Drake bought that chain, Drake should go back and keep their drawers up there. But I don't go hard about it because it ain't Drake's fault. I believe Drake really admired Tupac and liked Tupac.
Doubling down and pushing his truth even harder. In his second prison call, Suge Knight doubled down hard, breaking down the true history and craftsmanship behind real death row chains. Even while locked up, his words carried serious weight, proving he still moves hip-hop culture from behind bars. Suge painted the picture clearly. Authentic death row pieces weren't halfway done. They were fully iced, from the pendant all the way down to every single Cuban link. Back in the 90s, that kind of work ran tens of thousands of dollars, making them both trophies and weapons of status. Compared to that, the chain Drake flashed on IG looked watered down, cheap next to the originals that set the standard. The reaction was immediate. Social media exploded with side-by-side comparisons, breakdowns, and endless memes. Within hours, the story blasted across every major hip-hop outlet. IG posts shot past 5.6 million views, TikTok convos hit 3.2 million, and hashtags like hashtag Drake Chain and hashtag Suge Knight climbed straight into worldwide trends.
Only person I got death row chains, and I'm the only one handing them out. I gave one to Snoopy first. Andre had a death row chain. There was a few of the homies, none of the on death row had death row chain. Dog Pound didn't even have death row chain.
Then came the real game changer, West Coast heavyweights putting their stamp on Suge's words. On August 27th, 2025, Whack 100 went live with DJ Academics, co-signing Suge's claims without hesitation. He pointed out the same flaws: diamond clarity, settings, craftsmanship, and clowned Drake's piece, calling it nothing but a plastic plaything compared to the original death row legends. And Whack wasn't the only one. Reggie Wright Jr., who served as Death Row's head of security, stepped up and confirmed Suge's version with insider knowledge. He said he personally watched the chains get made, right down to details like the diamond count on the electric chair's belt, stuff counterfeiters copying from old photos could never fake. Reggie's testimony turned the spotlight onto something even bigger: the booming market for hip-hop memorabilia.
So he was talking about it, and he was like saying that him and another authenticator who's just like a death row historian, and basically they said they know it's fake because Pac's chain had 5 diamonds where the belt is for the person on the death row chair, and this one only has 4. So he was saying that this chain, I believe he said that this chain is a death row chain, but it was just made at a later time and date.
With Pac's artifacts skyrocketing into high-value investments, scammers had a playground to push replicas, even onto buyers with Drake's money and fame. Weak authentication checks only made the hustle easier, and this controversy exposed just how deep that problem really runs. For Suge Knight, these prison interviews weren't just about critiquing Drake. They turned him into the self-proclaimed guardian of Death Row's legacy and Tupac's memory. From behind bars, he positioned himself as the authority, correcting history, shaping culture, and reminding the world who still holds weight. But while the culture debated whether Drake got finessed, reality cut deep. Suge himself is locked down on a 28-year sentence for voluntary manslaughter. The irony was heavy. One of hip-hop's most feared and powerful moguls trapped in a cell, yet still pulling millions of views and controlling conversations about the game's most sacred history.
Yeah.
So let's clarify further. So the guy that sold the chain is this dude, Alexander Bitar, right?
Yeah.
Who I just looked up. Apparently, he's the founder of Alexander Bitar Jewelry. So he's a specialized dealer in a rare, historically significant, and pop culture collectible. So
Yeah,
this is
he's
a dude
legit
that
too.
has items of that nature. All right.
He's also super legit.
Commanding headlines from prison shows, Suge's influence hasn't faded, but it also exposes the harsh truth of his reality. At 60 years old, he's sitting in R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego, not eligible for parole until 2034. His time comes from a 2015 hit and run that killed Terry Carter and seriously injured Cleve Bone Sloan, a case that flipped Suge's image from ruthless mogul to convicted felon. That tragedy unfolded during the filming of Straight Outta Compton. On January 29, 2015, Suge rolled up to a Compton meeting linked to Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, but was blocked at the door. Tempers flared, a heated confrontation broke out, and it ended with Suge throwing his truck in reverse, running over Carter and Sloan. His defense lawyers argued it was self-defense, saying he feared a setup, but prosecutors painted a different picture. Suge is a violent man whose past finally caught up to him.
He was scared to fight Bone. Bone wanted to fade. He fired on him through the window. Bang, bam, get out, nigga, get out. Instead of Suge, what'd he do? Threw the truck in reverse, threw it in drive, threw Bone off, bagged over him, ran over his leg, and then tried to make a run for it. See, this is the world don't want to see it for what it. Suge Knight got 28 years and killed his homie because he was scared to squabble Bone.
And California's infamous 3 strikes law made sure it hit harder. With Suge's long rap sheet, sentencing came down colder than ice. In October 2018, Judge Ronald Cohen laid it all out, showing how years of priors stacked against him, making the punishment far harsher than a first-time offender would have faced. It was brutal math. His fall wasn't just about that one night in 2015, but decades of violence finally cashing in their debt. Suge's downfall wasn't a sudden collapse, it was the slow crash of a man living in the streets for too long. Convictions stretching back decades like the 1992 Solar Records assault set the foundation that made his final fall nearly impossible to escape.
The high term is 11 years, must be doubled under the strike law. Defendant is levied a term in state prison of 22 years. Pursuant to Penal Code Section 12022, Subsection B, Subsection 1, he is levied an additional consecutive 1 year in state prison. Pursuant to Penal Code Section 667, Subsection A, Subsection 1, prior conviction the defendant has admitted, he is levied an additional 5 years in state prison for a total unstayed term of 28 years.
Inside R.J. Donovan, Suge Knight's name still rings bells, but not like before. Because of his celebrity and the constant security risk, he's kept in protective custody away from general population. It keeps him safe from inmates eager to test their names, but comes with a price: restricted movement, limited contact, and the kind of tight controls that feel like a cage within a cage. For a man who once thrived on fear and raw respect, it's a brutal reversal from his old life. His health has only added to the pressure. Recent photos show major weight loss, sparking whispers about serious medical issues. Reports claim he's battling blood clots, complications from diabetes, and even partial blindness. Some insiders say it's just prison life and age catching up, but the rumors don't stop. Every new sighting fuels more speculation. Suge's declining health has even been used in court, with legal filings pointing out how hospital trips and medical struggles kept him from fully engaging in his defense. Beyond the official facts, though, hip-hop chatter runs wild, unverified claims and whispers bouncing around, leaving the culture debating what's really happening behind those walls. What it all proves is simple. Prison stripped away the shield of money and fame, leaving Suge exposed to the same vulnerability as any other man. Yet even with all that, he still finds ways to shake the culture. His explosive interviews about Drake's chain showed the world that with just a few phone calls, Suge can still command headlines and shape hip-hop narratives from inside a cell. These days, Suge's respect looks different. Inside, he's still recognized, but not with the same intimidation that defined the death row era. Age, sickness, and his lockdown lifestyle have changed his aura. Where people once feared being in the same room, now they treat him with cautious acknowledgement, respectful but not terrified. And that's the story. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment, and I'll see you on the next one.